Hello everyone, Calvatron here. Welcome back to another Le Mans Ultimate video. Today we're going to be doing a little post-commentary recording of me driving the new Genesis Hypercar at the new Barcelona track for the ELMS DLC. Starting today in P21, let's see what we can do over this hour-long race. At the beginning, we just want to make sure that we're fuel saving nicely. I've got the fuel set up for 4 laps as my fuel saving target, so it's really going to be a difficult challenge to not pit stop over the next hour, but already we're going to be fuel saving about 300 meters going into the first corner, not only because we need to obviously fuel save, but our tyres are cold, our brakes are cold, and there's going to be a lot of carnage ahead. So the GT3 is actually nearly making a move on me going into turn 1. That's how slow we are, but we need to take avoiding action here going around the first couple of corners just because of how much carnage there is around on this track and on this game in Le Mans Ultimate and in sim racing alone. So started in P21 and there's already carnage going on with P12 and P11 sending each other to the shadow realm, and we're going to be P11 at the beginning of the first sector going around Catalunya. Lovely racetrack, been here in real life. 2023 went to CDF1, saw Max Verstappen beat Lewis Hamilton and George Russell, who are also on the podium, who I did want to win, being a Mercedes fanboy. But nonetheless, I had a great time there. We'll get into more of that a bit later on, but right now we do just want to focus on our race. We want to make sure that we're hitting our apexes and getting good exits out of corners, but we also, more importantly, want to make sure that we're lifting and coasting and not worrying about anyone else's race. We don't want to be battling people here for no reason, burning up precious fuel, because we do want to do the zero stop round here. Obviously different rules in the hypercars and in WEC, I believe. You don't need to make a pit stop in this hour-long race, whereas in an F1 Grand Prix you do need to make a pit stop and change tyres, but we don't have to do that here. So we want to make sure that we're lifting and coasting, getting in the slipstream of the cars ahead, and making sure that we are getting those lap times down and as consistent as possible. I'm not the fastest driver there is. I do believe this is top split though. I didn't have a very good qualifying starting in P21, and then I think the last lap I kind of just gave up because I was still learning this track in the hypercars, although it's not too dissimilar from the F1 cars. So as we're starting lap 2 and we're coming around this long right-hander that does require us to lift and coast for quite a bit of it, one of the things that we really need to focus on these longer races is keeping our concentration up and making sure that we're not starting to daydream about other things while we settle into our pace, because it can be quite easy to do that, and there are a few examples of this race where my concentration does lapse and I do start making silly mistakes here and there. Another thing I don't want to be doing is keeping an eye on the car in front and driving basically by staring at their bumper, because if they have an off, more often than not, then I'm going to follow them and also have an off. So a big part of fuel saving and just staying consistent in general is just driving our own race. I don't want to be making on-track passes if possible. Actually, I know that can be quite boring, but the key to success and consistency is not by trying to go flat out and overtake as many people as I can going wheel to wheel, because I'm going to be losing seconds doing that. I want to make sure that I'm lifting and coasting early on like I'm doing here, but that will allow me to get a good exit like here. I mean, I'm gaining time on Caron behind, even though he's in the slipstream. This Genesis is quite good in a straight line and I absolutely love it. It's a great car and I think I'm going to actually main this car, but we do want to make sure that we're not getting caught up and defending clean air, everything like that. I mean, Caron hasn't made any moves so far, but I still want to keep an eye on him, but at the same time I do want to make sure that I'm also not anticipating a pass at every corner, because I'm going to be losing tenths. Because as you can see here, just by focusing on my own race, I'm getting purple sectors. I'm in P11 and I'm getting purple sectors because this whole gaggle of cars up ahead, P1 to P10, they're all fighting. They all want position on the track, whether that's for clean air or what. It's an hour-long race, and if you can just focus on getting your pace down and consistent, then there's no reason why we can't fight for the win. And that might be a bit of foreshadowing for later on in the video, so stick around. But there's no reason why any of us in these P10 up to P1 up to let's say P15, well maybe not P15, P1 to P12, all of us are in contention for the win here. It's a long race. A lot of the drivers are going to have to start making pit stops 35 laps or so into the race, because these cars only have about 36 laps of fuel if you're going flat out. So that's the reason why we're lifting and coasting so early, and it might look like at times the cars ahead are outpacing us and they're gaining and everything like that, like this Cadillac in P10. We're 8/10 faster than him, and we're fuel saving, but in some of these corners he does pull away, because like here I'm lifting and coasting 100 meters before I need to start braking, just so I can save, a few grams of fuel on every lap, because that really builds up. I've got a 2.49% average usage of fuel, and I need to extend for 4 laps. So if I just keep this up throughout the whole race, I don't have to make a pit stop, and I might be 4 to 6 tenths slower than the car in front, but over 30 laps, that's what, 12 seconds. And how long's a pit stop? It's about 40 seconds if you include the fuel. Even longer if you got damage. So whilst we're losing a couple tenths here and there, or not even tenths on some of these corners, hundredths on these corners, overall it should really pay off, and that's what I'm hoping in this race. I could brake a bit later. I could forego fuel saving on some of these corners. Like here, I could not fuel save and just brake at my normal braking point and get right up behind these 3 cars here, but I don't want to. I'm racing my own race, and in doing so I want my own result. I don't want to be pushing anyone else off the track. I want to race properly. I don't want to cause accidents. I don't want to be the result of anyone else's bad experience on this game. I want everyone to have a good time. So it's lap 5 now. We're 5 laps in. We are lapping faster than the cars ahead. I mean, the Cadillac is just like 4 tenths faster, but the Genesis is lapped about half a second slower. So we are gaining. And this is just going to be beneficial for us, because although we're not going to be making moves into corners, we're going to be getting tucked into that slipstream on the straights. We will have a bit of dirty air going around the corners, but we're kind of lifting off the throttle around the corners anyway, because that's just more periods of time that we can be saving fuel. But down those straights, that means I don't have to go 100% throttle, and I can save 10% of the fuel that I would be burning down the straight, which again will just bring my average down, and I might even have a bit of fuel in the tank at the end of the race to push if I need to. Again, maybe that's foreshadowing, we don't know. But there's about 4 cars ahead of us, all in this slipstream battle, and I think they're all kind of going for each other's necks. So it's all the more reason for us to not engage with the battle, because we're if you have a look at the top left, we're actually gaining time very slowly on the leader. We started off about 15 seconds ahead, and now we're 10 seconds ahead. But here there is a big crash. The Cadillac and the Genesis have an off, so we've just gained another 2 places. That's an example of what I was talking about. There is absolutely no need for them to have that battle. It's a couple of corners behind the last straight. All that Genesis needed to do was just tuck in behind the Cadillac. Although I think actually the Cadillac made a little bit of a mistake there and went wide, but there was just no need, because there's still 51 minutes of this race left. We're 10 minutes in. We're 20% in, if that. But whilst I commentate over that, I'm in my head in the race. Whilst I'm sat there in my rig, I'm thinking the same thing. Why were they fighting? Why did they have a crash? And in doing so, I have a lapse of judgment there. So we make a bit of an error going into that first couple of corners, which doesn't set us up well for this corner. Our tyres have overheated. We've lost a bit of our confidence going into the corner. So I do make another error here, and Caron might be making a move up the outside of us. He does have a look. He makes his presence known, which is good. And I think throughout this race he was a clean racer, but maybe he's on the same kind of strategy as me, where he's trying to go long and not pit stop throughout the race. But the fuel would say otherwise. I mean, have a look at our fuel. We're in 9th place. We've got 86% fuel. Caron's got 84, going on 83%, and the car ahead at 84%, 84%, 84%. So all this fuel saving already, we're already 3% more fuel than the others. So that kind of indicates to me, as Caron nearly goes into the back of me, that kind of indicates to me that these guys ahead are going flat out, which, if anything, again, benefits me. All of these things are working in my benefit, because I want to be going long. I don't want to be fighting these people. These people can fight amongst themselves. They can get into crashes, and that's just more positions for me that I'm not getting into these crashes with these people. I'm not damaging my car or ruining their experience on the game. That's fine, they can do that. But I'm just telling myself at this point, it's going to work out in my favour. I changed the brake motor map to 40 kilowatts up from 30. I want to make sure that I'm consuming a little bit more of energy because I've got 36.4 laps of energy and 33.9 laps of fuel I think left. So our energy consumption could be go up a bit, and obviously the battery on the right was kind of filling up a bit with charge with all the lifting, coasting and braking that we're doing. We don't want a full battery because that can affect the braking on these hypercars. Don't ask me how exactly, I'm not too sure, but the brakes definitely feel a bit weird when the battery's full, so we want to make sure that we're managing that battery nicely. But Caron now is 0.3 behind us. He's on 81% fuel. So at this point now, I'm having to think: is he going to start making a move? I don't know. Maybe he feels like he's being held up by me. But he definitely got a bad exit on that corner, and that further just cements the requirement. You know, I'm braking early. I'm maximising my exits. Caron, he had a bad exit on that back straight, and he had a bad exit from that corner. He nearly run into the back of me twice now, and I don't think that I'm driving, too slowly where he has to take evasive action to avoid me. I think he's just making a mistake because he's pushing the car a bit too much. Another thing to mention around Barcelona is that the track temps are quite high and there's a lot of sweeping left-handers, so that front left tyre really takes a battering. And you can see the Peugeot up ahead in P7, he's got hard on the front left, and AH in 11th, who was in the accident a bit earlier on. He's also got hard on the front left, which means that that front left tyre really takes a beating. I'm not sure why the Peugeot in P1 has mediums on the front left and then hards on the front right. That's a decision, but this is where the race gets really interesting, and this is probably my favourite part of Le Mans Ultimate actually, is navigating the traffic with the LMP3s, GT3s, sorry, because you really need to be respectful of them. And it just adds another layer of racecraft in, because it's so easy to have an accident with the GT3s because obviously they stay on their line. They're these heavy cars that can't rely on the downforce as much as the hypercars can, so you really need to make sure that you're respecting their space, because they're entitled to it, and there's so many accidents where the hypercars smash into GT3s, and it really kind of winds me up because most of the time it's just brain dead behaviour. But there's Boulin, he was actually in the lead at the beginning of this lap, so the leader has now lost the lead and he's into P8. I don't think he's too happy with that, but we now need to make sure that he's not going to make a move up behind us, because you had Caron, who's been very respectful so far, but Boulin, we don't know about him yet. But this car ahead, he's got a warning flag, so we're going to take a very wide berth because we don't want to get into an accident. Again, anything that just affects our race we don't want to engage with, so we're going to give all these GT3s a wide berth going down the straight. As we can see here, that hypercar, that BMW up in P5, he's kind of dived up the inside of the Porsche there, and he's lucky not to have an accident because the Peugeot is on the other side of it. Again, we want to make sure we're taking a wide berth, giving these LM GT3s space, because they are prone to extending out to the left of the track there under understeer conditions. But that's that BMW. That BMW's had enough now, so we're up into P5. So we're 9 laps into this race. We're about a quarter of the way in, and we're already up into P5. Not top 10, not top 8, P5, and we started in P21, so we're making really good progress here. And right here I'm thinking, do I make a move up the inside of this BMW? Well, why not? He's given us the space, thank you. Appreciate that. So we make the move up the inside, and we're now up into P5, and we've got Ebertowski up in P4, 0.6 ahead. He's just lost a bit of time to that Aston Martin, and he moves over, the Porsche moves over to the racing line as well, and that's a situation that could have ended badly if I just kind of dived up and didn't let the GT3s preemptively move over. So that could have been a close one for us. There's a lot of dust going up ahead. I wonder what's happening, but it looks like someone's just gone wide and lives to fight another day. But 10 laps in now, we're coming up to the 10th lap, and that last corner we can probably gain a bit of time on there, but we're half a second behind the Peugeot now, so we're nicely in the slipstream. We're gaining a lot of time, as you can see from the delta. That's 2 hundredths up on our PB. Staying in slipstream would benefit us a lot down the straight. As I said, it's we don't have to go on throttle as much because we're just tucked into that nice bit of air pulling us along. But we're now going up into the top 6 of the GT3, so this is where Normally they're a lot more respectful, but that Ferrari is very close. But you did give it a lot of space and you did exit quite wide, so you definitely got on the power quite early then. And I feel as if you do have to be quite careful with the BMW drivers as well in the GT3s, because they do like to drive a bit like Valentino Rossi and not really afford you much room. But there's a Ferrari and a BMW up here. We want to make sure that the Ferrari doesn't swing out and hit us, because I've had that happen to me quite a few times. But there's the Peugeot ahead in P5. He goes into the back of that Ferrari there, so he tried to make an opportunistic move that didn't work. And the BMW moves over to the racing line. That's fine. I thought he was going to do that, so we go down the inside there, as the Ferrari does the same thing behind him. But we're up into P4. So starting in P21, and we're now P4 in front of a Ferrari, and then a Genesis, and then another Ferrari. So if you think back to maybe about 10 minutes ago, we were 10 seconds off the lead in the Ferrari, and now that's come down to 4.6. So we are having a really good race here. And if you have a look at the fuel delta as well, we're on 76%. Car in front 73%, 74%, 72%. So what I'm thinking is either they're not fuel lifting at all, or they're doing very minimal fuel saving driving. So again, that's just yet another benefit for us, because we're making progress on these cars and they're not even fuel saving, which to me makes me think, I've got really good pace around here, so I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna try and win this race, and hopefully that happens, because again, I don't want to foreshadow anything, but that is very much a possibility. So we're less than 4 seconds ahead now on the Ferrari in P1. We're stuck behind this Ferrari as we have a very minor lock up there. I want to make sure we don't flat spot the tyres. I'm having a quick look, and you can see that front left as a flash, it was 86%, and the front left was 90. Front right was 91%. So there's a 5% difference in the tyre wear. That's how much you can see that the mediums take beating around this track. But nonetheless, I think we can hold on. Our pace is still really good, considering our tyres, some of them are 15% degraded from their peak of 100%. We're not too far off our fastest lap, as we're actually in the green, or very close to being in the green on this lap, and we're still fuel saving. Whether that's because the Ferrari is kind of pulling us along or not, we don't know, but it's working out in our favour. Coming around this last corner now, coming into lap 12, and again 0.6 behind, so we're in the slipstream with the Ferrari. I think a bit later on in this race we actually start lifting off the throttle down the straight just to save a little bit more fuel, because if it comes to the end of this race and we're a couple of seconds behind the leader, I want to make sure that I've got the fuel in the tank to really push and make an actual move, and not have to fuel save to the very last corner. And so far I think that's going to happen, because you can see our average fuel usage is 2.35% and our target is 2.36. So that affords us 0.28% fuel on each lap, which means that we can probably go flat out for a lap or two at the end if we keep this up, which is really what I want to see. And I mean, above all of this, it's just good practice. Being able to fuel save like this is not an easy task, and it's definitely something that when I first started sim racing, it's something I struggled with, and now it's something I actually enjoy doing, funnily enough. And it's normally when I get my best results. There's an LMP2 European Le Mans car race around Monza that I won a couple of weeks ago, and you had to fuel save on that, and I won about 3 races in a row on that, which was really good. But if you have a look at the bottom right now, you can see that the sun's gone away around the twisty turns of Catalunya, and as such the track temp's gone down. So along the straights the tyres are kind of losing temperature, so that's another thing we have to be mindful of, is that we don't have that nice bright green tyre temperature indicator. The tyres are losing temperature, and we have to make sure that we have to drive accordingly to the conditions. So having some of that temperature out the tyres means we might be prone to a bit more understeer. I mean, this car is quite snappy. As I said, I absolutely love this new car. It's going to be my main car, I think, unless they nerf it like they did with the Ferrari about 6 months ago. I think the Ferrari's back to being a good car again. But this car is absolutely great. I mean, the engine sound doesn't sound amazing. It's not the Ferrari. The Ferrari and the Aston sound absolutely amazing. But nonetheless, it is still a really fun car to drive. It's very tail happy. You have to be very precise with the rears, because the rears are quite prone to snapping. As we go around that corner there, we kind of follow the Ferrari into it and completely miss the apex there. So I just want to make sure that we're driving properly, we're fuel saving, and that we're driving our own race. We don't want to get caught up in chasing the car in front, because it's not going to benefit us at all in the long run. But if we have a quick look on the top left again, we've got 40 minutes left of this race, so we've been driving for 20 minutes now. We've used 30% of the fuel, and the cars ahead have used 34%, 33% and 35%. So we've got 5% on the leader here. That's over a lap of fuel in the tank over the leader. So that means that the leader is definitely going to have to pit. P2 probably going to have to pit. P3 definitely going to have to pit if they keep driving like this. So it's looking really good for us in P4. And P5 being 5 seconds behind, you know, that's 2 laps of pushing compared to my time. So we're in a really good position here to fight for the win. I definitely want to be up in the podium positions, as P3 goes about 2 or 3 tenths faster than us that lap. As we get a really good corner entry in there, we go 3 tenths up on our best time. This long right-hander that we're going around, we want to make sure that we're not going full throttle, not only to save fuel but to also save a bit of life in the tyres, because they do need to go an hour, considering that we're not pit stopping and we're not changing the tyres. I do think that those who are making a pit stop on purpose, I don't think they'll be changing the tyres, because I don't think the tyre advantage is too much. However, the Le Mans Ultimate flat spots are insane, and you want to avoid them if you can. Especially on my Fanatec wheel, they really make you know, affect your confidence, because you can go down the straights and the vibrations that go through them are insane. I don't know if they're actually realistic. Obviously never flat spotted a tyre in real life, because I've never driven anything capable of flat spotting a tyre. But as you can see, 0.3 behind P3 now, so he is actively holding us up at this point. We're a 10th down from our best lap of the session, and we're on lap 14. And P3 is actually holding us up now. So now that we've been stuck behind him for a few laps, although the slipstream is very beneficial to us, especially down this straight, because we'll probably gain a couple of tenths on him actually, I'm starting to think, do we actually make a move on him? I mean, earlier on I was talking about how we need to race our own race and not make any moves, but it's getting to the point now where we probably could make a move on him and try and go for the lead, and maybe even work together to kind of push up onto P1 and P2, because they're having their own little battle there. P1 and P2, P2 is definitely going to be being pulled along by P1, and they could in turn work together to extend our lead from P3 and P4. So it's something that I'm thinking about, and it's something that I'm starting to you know, compute and think, you know, how can I make a move whilst fuel saving as well, and you know, maintain that lead as well, because I don't want to pass again and then have a, you know, fight and lose time to P5 and P6 behind us, and then P7 and P8. It looks like it's like 2 by 2 with these cars. They're all fighting, you know, yeah, 2 by 2. But P17 up here, he's getting blue flags. He's already had an off up ahead, so this is something else we need to have a look at, because blue flag system in sim racing is quite difficult to uphold, and it is sometimes a lot of respect and just letting drivers pass. As this guy does that, he just lets us pass with no issue. So thank you very much, P17 and the Ferrari there. Didn't put up a fight or anything like that. It's so frustrating when you're having a good fight with the leaders or high up, and you get flipping, I don't know, fought by someone who's getting blue flags and not moving out of the way. So very much thank you, Tim. P16 now, so we're coming up to, you know, nearly half distance of this race now. Nearly half distance. We've got 36 minutes left, 24 minutes of driving. We're 0.3 behind P3. Again, it's just thinking, do I make a move? Do I make a move on him? Because he is holding me up. We are still making progress on the leaders. So 2.1 and 1.8. Last lap it was 2.9 and 2.7, I believe. But has he made a fatal mistake here trying to go out the inside? No, because he pushes me wide. Now that is a bit of a dodgy bit of driving from him. I give him a flash there to show my dissatisfaction with him, but I was kind of expecting that, which is why I kind of jinked to the left there, because I knew he was going to do that. I knew that was a move he was going to make, so I moved out of the way, because I just don't want to risk front damage, especially here at these corners where you have to rely on the front downforce a lot. And something else that I'm thinking is, has he shown his true colours here by moving over to the left there? Because he might be capable of making a dirty move on you now. I mean, would I have done the same thing? Possibly. I don't know if that makes him a dirty driver, but you know, these are things that I'm thinking about whilst I'm driving. Like, if I make a move, is he just going to try and fight back and push me off the track? So, you know, along with the fuel saving, tyre usage, all of that sort of thing, you need to make sure that the person you're driving against won't drive like a complete dick and just smash you off, send you to the shadow realm. So, you know, these are all things I'm thinking about on top of my race strategy. You know, fuel saving again here, lifting off nice and early, getting good exits in the corners, staying in the slipstream. So there's so many things that you're thinking about in this race, and that you're trying to weigh up the options and you know, the possibilities of. So, you know, this is one of the reasons why I just love sim racing. It's just, you know, you have to be thinking about these things to make progress and get the win. So lap 17, again, lifting off nice and early with that right hander, making sure that we're not overheating the tyres and putting too much wear on them. Because if we can get, you know, the fuel delta, that's all well and good, but if we get the tyre delta as well, that's even better, because we're just going to be, you know, unstoppable towards the end of this race when people are struggling with tyre wear, people are struggling with fuel usage, when to pit, you know, how to pit, how not to get caught up by the GT3s. But we've caught up the GT3s again now for the second time. So 2 times in 35 minutes. It's pretty good. As there are 3 GT3s here, we made the move on 2 of them, but I can see that Mercedes there, he doesn't really want to yield, and I want to be, you know, respectful of his race as well, and not dive up the inside, because this blue Ferrari here has been caught by the green Mercedes on exit there, so we're actually 0.3 behind still. We haven't lost any time, even though we yielded that corner to the GT3s. 0.2 ahead now, so we're right behind him. If he can get another, you know, unfortunate kind of way that he deals with the traffic up ahead, it might mean that we can take P2 or P3, sorry, move up into the podium positions. I'm getting ahead of myself there, P2. About 0.5 ahead now. But fortunately, I can move over from that McLaren there and still get a really good exit and stay half a second behind him, stay in the slipstream. We've got P9 in the GT3s ahead. That's a BMW, so we should be able to pass him nice and early. Although, no, we go side by side into the corner, but thankfully he does peel off and allow us to go past, because a lot of the time with these LMP1 drivers, you know, I've made this mistake myself, but just because the car's rapid in a straight line, you know, GT3s are very capable on the brakes. As we go, thread the needle between those two. What a move, I love doing that. GT3s are very capable on the brakes, and they've got ABS, so you can kind of brake at the same, you know, reference points. Maybe the LMP cars have to brake a tiny bit earlier, just to reduce that speed and scrub that speed off. But you can't just dive bomb them, you know. It's not like we're in F1 and they're in F3. It's you know, you have to be respectful going into corners, and GT3s are obviously entitled to take their line through the corner. As the blue Ferrari kind of makes a bit of an error there, we do sniff up the inside, make our car known. That's another thing, you know, making ourselves known. We don't just want to give him an easy drive. Again, we are fuel saving, we're not, you know, dive bombing, but here he's kind of defending that line there. He's compromising his line into this corner. He still gets a good apex there and a good exit, but he's compromised that. So part of it is just making ourselves known. You know, we are there, and I want to win this race. You know, probably more than he does. I want this. You know, I want to win. But again, come around now. On to lap 19. Got a BMW. Got the Ferrari. He's got a very poor exit there, so he's been affected by the traffic. As he overtakes another BMW, but as you can see, I'm lifting off the throttle there. I could have made a move, but whether that would stick, I don't know, and I don't want him to fight me into this corner because I don't want to lose time. But in all of that, I've actually missed out that we've come into P3 now, so we're in a podium position, which works out really well for us. I don't know what happened to P2 up ahead, I suppose. That was one of the Ferraris. So up ahead of me, I got one Ferrari and I got a Genesis. So there's 3 Genesises now in the top 5, followed by Peugeot. So you can kind of see which cars are strong around here, as Perry has just shown his disapproval at something. But we don't have to worry about that too much. I try not to look at the text whilst I'm racing because it does kind of put me off. And it's a good thing this game doesn't have voice chat, because I've been banned off voice chat from iRacing twice. But me and this Ferrari, as he gets another poor exit here, again, I don't want to make the move. I want the race to just evolve naturally. If he makes, you know, a terrible move, and we can make a position off of that, that's good. But again, my aim is to not make any on-track passes, because I don't want to be fighting with anyone. It's going to put you know, pressure on me to use more fuel, use up my tyres, all of that stuff. Quick recap: top left, we've got half an hour of the race left to go. I've got 55% fuel. P2 50%, P1 52%. So we got 5% fuel delta difference on the car in front. So he's going to have to make a pit stop at this point, because our average is really good, and I'm happy with that, and I want to keep that average down. But we're up on our best time here in P3 with the Ferrari P2 0.4, P1 3.6. So P1 is actually making a bit of a leeway on us, and he's kind of taking off a bit. He was, I think, 3 seconds when we inherited P3. So we want to make sure that he doesn't just drive off into the distance, because we want to fight for this win, because we're very, very capable of doing it and winning in this track. Starting from P21 will be such a good achievement, something I'll be very happy if it happens. So keep that in mind as we get into the second half of this race. So we've got 29 minutes left. Again, I think I just said a minute ago we've got 30 minutes left. But as we come around on lap 20, you can see that we've got the fuel to continue saving. We don't have to think about pit stopping now, because if you see on the strategy, kind of the left-hand side towards the bottom, it says no pit scheduled. If you need to pit, it will say pit stop, critical, fuel critical, everything like that. As we have a bit of an oversteer there, we kind of I think what happened there is our speed we lost so much speed following that car ahead. So because our minimum speed was so low, we got on the power a bit too early there, and we actually had a snap of oversteer just because the turbo wasn't in range. We had to spool it up, which resulted in a bit of oversteer. So we've lost a bit of time on P2 up ahead on lap 21. But I'm sure we can just gain it back on him as we go 2.5 tenths up on our personal best lap. So we're 0.7 behind him now, and we want to make sure that our tyres are the temperature's coming back down. There's 17 degrees of difference between the front left and the front right, and then another 10 degrees of difference with the back left. So you can see which tyre kind of took a beating around that corner, because obviously the front left is under the heat from the long left-handers, and the rear tyres are in acceleration. So that left tyre span out quite a bit going around that corner. I think that's to do with the diff settings. There's an unlocked diff, and they spin at different speeds. Well, we're 4 tenths up in the second sector here, so we're making a lot of progress. I'm not sure whether that was because we didn't lift and coast as much, or whether we're just having a really good lap. But we're locked in here. We're locked in, and we're half a second down now on the Ferrari. But if you have a look at the top left, Mazarek in P1, he's 4.6 ahead now, so he's kind of trailing off into the distance. He is 4% up on his fuel, but we've actually knocked down the fuel saving target by a lap. We only need to save 3 laps now, we've calculated, rather than 4 laps at the beginning. So we can afford to use a little bit more fuel here. So whether that means that we can make a move on P2 or not, I'm not sure. But if you have a look at my lap compared to Mazarek, we're 0.013 seconds slower than him. So we're on a similar pace to him actually, compared to his Ferrari. He's going so slow into the first couple of turns here. We would have absolutely blitzed him into that corner, but we had to slam the brakes there. But he's going wide here on the corner as well, so I'm thinking, is his tyres overheated or what? Or has he just had a lapse of concentration, because he's going so slow now? And this is the point where you have to really think whether we want to make a move or not, because we've got an actual, we've got a look at having P1 here, of taking the lead, but we're stuck behind this car in P2. If you have a look at P4 behind, they're 10 seconds behind. So it's literally P1, 2, 3 all fighting for the lead here. And I don't think P2 has it in him, if I'm being honest. I mean, look, we're 0.1 seconds behind him, and Mazarek's 5 seconds ahead now. So we're really gaining time, and we really need to make a move on P2 to make sure that we get past him. So as we see here, we sniff up the inside, and what does P2 do? He kind of concedes it. He just lets us go past. So at that point of the race, I was thinking, this is the point where we can make a move past and fight on for the lead, because Aktas in P3, now formerly P2, he was slowing us down. So now this is the point where we're going into lap 23, and we can have a look whether he was actually holding us up, or whether he was on his own strategy, or whether he wasn't benefiting from the slipstream. We can have a look to see whether we're going to start gaining time on him. And he's already kind of getting a bit smaller in my wing mirror, so whether that's the straight line speed of the Ferrari or what, I'm not sure, but we'll definitely see it in this lap as we go very deep into corner 1 here and turn 2, and Aktas already makes that time back on us. So That's one of the things when you're chasing a car for lap and lap and lap and lap, is that your brake reference is kind of adjusted to the car in front. But when you don't have that and you become the person being chased, you do try to brake a little bit later, which has resulted in us, going a bit deep in that corner. But again, these are all things that you kind of become aware of that as it happened. I thought, I've gone deep there. I need to fix up and make sure that that doesn't happen again, or else he will make a move on me, because I doubt he wants to be stuck in P3. But as we think about that and start thinking about making chase in the lead, everything like that, all these things combined, we're a second up on him, so we're definitely faster than him. And I think his time that he loses on corner exit, because look, it's another 0.2, 0.3 that we've gained on him just in that corner exit phase. He goes quite wide on corner exit. 1.4 ahead already, so we really are steaming ahead now. But that's Mazarek is also gaining time. He's 6.2 ahead now, 31.7. He's just done, our best is a 31.7, but we're going to be 0.6 slower that lap, 32.3. I think that's because we went deep in turn 1 and 2, so we don't want to make that mistake again. We still want to be lifting and coasting. We're going to be slamming on those brakes, and look at this lap. That's an absolutely lovely corner. Set of corners that we take there, as Atkas behind is 1.8 now, so that lead, that kind of time that we lost behind Aktas has really shown itself now, because he's a second and a half behind us within one lap, and that deficit's only going to grow. So although we might have lost a lot of time behind him, it's quite good in the fact that we got pulled along by him on the straights, and we can save a lot of fuel. With 5% up on P1 now, 4% up, and then 6% up on P3. So I think a lap is about 3% of fuel, 2 or 3% of fuel. So we've got 1 or 2 laps in the tank up on P1 and P3. So whilst that's going to weigh our car down a little bit more, and we're going to lose time lap on lap, it means that we're not going to have to pit. As there's a BMW GT3 up ahead, I'm thinking, oh God, what's he going to do? What is he going to do? We're going to go around the outside of him. It's going to put a bit more wear on our tyres. We're going to be off the racing line, pick up some marbles maybe, and having to put a bit more steering angle, and it's going to result in some tyre wear. But overall, it's not too bad. Not too bad. Atkas is behind us at 1.2 seconds. So at first we were thinking, he's losing a bit of time, but he's actually not been too slow. We're still losing a bit of time on Mazarek, 6 seconds ahead. Now he's 4.43. Oh my God. He's had an accident. And we take the lead. We're up into P1. Look at that. P1 from P21 that we started. That's absolutely insane. So we got Atkas in P2, 2.5 ahead, and Mazarek in P3, 7.5 ahead. But the issue is that Mazarek is quite quick. And he's probably quite pissed off as well now. So 7.4 seconds. Can we maintain a 7.4 second lead with 21 minutes left of the race? How many laps is that? About 15 laps. So 15 laps, 7.5 seconds. So, if he's half a second faster each lap, that means he's going to win. So we really need to make sure that we're, fuel saving, keeping our delta nice and positive to our best time. As the Aston Martin makes a late move over to the right there, that's quite strange. But again, it didn't affect our race too much. We just have to let the GT3s do their thing and drive around them. It's not our race as much as it is in the GT3's race, but as we're in the faster car and we've got way more aerodynamic control, we've got enough control to kind of maneuver around them compared to their ability in the boats that are the LMP3s. We just want to make sure that we're just kind of moving well away from them. When I drive the LMGT3s, obviously I take care, but when the leader's coming past, I take extra care, because I don't want to ruin that guy's race. I don't want to completely ruin it. That would kind of ruin my day. If I was having a bad day already and then a GT3 takes me out, that will really wind me up. So thankfully they're all respectful going into T1, 2 and 3. But as we come around the sweeping right handed, it is T4. We've got more GT3s up ahead. We've got top 8 now up ahead. So again, the BMWs you do have to take extra care of, I do think, based on my experience with this game. So we just want to make sure that we're being respectful here. I mean, some LMP drivers might have taken the outside line there, but that's just a recipe for disaster. And we don't want to follow that recipe. So we overtake the Porsche there in P5, and now we're chasing the rest of the pack of the GT3 cars, and there's another LMP car up ahead, P18. Let's see if he respects the blue flags coming up. There's a 7/10 down this lap on our best time, and Mazarek is 7 seconds behind. We got Atkas behind 5.2 seconds, so he's also lost a lot of time. So right now, with 20 minutes left of this race, I just want to make sure that I'm, smashing these corners. I'm just getting, a decent time. I want to be within 1 second of my best lap for the rest of this race. I'm aware that it's not alien times. I think an alien time out here is about 1:29, and we're 1:31, so we're still a couple of seconds off, but it doesn't matter because we're the lead of this race, and I think at this point we're probably the fastest car on track. So we're getting a nice tow along here from the Alpine. Let's see if he lets us pass. He does. Thank you. That is an absolutely legendary move. Thank you very much, Mr. Alpine. Obviously sees we're P1, he doesn't want to fight that, so I'm very appreciative of that. I actually want to give the Alpine LMP car a try, because after the new Hypercar update, I think that's quite a tail happy car as well, and before it's absolutely undrivable, I found it. So we'll give that a go at some point. But lap 27, 12 to 13 laps left, and we've got 18 laps of fuel. However, if we were to start pushing flat out now, that would obviously change, because the fuel calculation is based on the fuel saving that we're doing, as we get quite a slow exit there because our car doesn't drift wide at all, so we definitely could have taken that corner a bit faster. But at this point of the race, I'm not really thinking that. I'm not thinking how can we go on the edge here. I just want to make sure that I'm not at any risk of having like a snap or anything that will result in the tail coming arse over end or whatever, looping myself around like unfortunately Mazarek did. But Mazarek is now half a second behind Aktas in P2, so he's going to be looking to make a move. Although Aktas, look, he's 7% down on fuel now, and Mazarek is 5% down, so there's a real possibility that if they actually do go long and they try not to pit, that they might run out of fuel on the last lap. Whereas I'm chilling. I'm in P1, I've got that fuel delta, and right now I'm thinking, wow, I'm on for a really good result. I'm P1, man. P1, I started P21, and we've got these cars at Aktas and Mazarek. They started at the front as well, so we've not only fought our way through the pack, but we've also gained all these positions to become the leader of the race, which is really good, which is really, really good. So I want to keep that up. Lap 28, again, this long right-hander, we're absolutely setting our front left alight. I want to call them come into these corners, put as little pressure on them as possible. That's not going to be possible with this BMW on the left. We get quite close to him, but he doesn't extend out, which we're very thankful for. When we hit this left-hander, we get a nice and clean apex there. We don't extend too far to the right. And something else that I was really happy with this race is that we didn't get any off tracks, I do believe. We had that one earlier that was just a green, so we didn't get any points for it. But so far, this has just been, an absolute example of a great race. No issues. 16 minutes left. We've got 6 seconds on the leader, and all we have to do now is just cling on to this, make sure that we're driving, nice and good and well. But yes, lap 28, 11 to go. We're in the lead now, so again, there's not too much to say other than we need to just manage this lead and make sure that we're not doing anything stupid. We're not, having these snaps or spins or, putting too much pressure on the tyres. I'm really listening out for the tyres, because you can kind of hear in Le Mans Ultimate when you put too much pressure through the tyres, they squeal in like a different way compared to like a bit of wheel spin on, corner exit. They make this horrible noise. Quite similar to when you pull the handbrake on like Gran Turismo, and they squeal in a different way to when you're just putting the power down on corner exit. But you can see in the chat here, we've got someone cussing out the Hypercars and someone cussing out the GT3, so it does kind of show that both classes are at fault with some of these crashes. It's you have to be careful, but whatever discipline you choose to race, Hypercar, GT3, that's normally, or LMP2, there weren't any in this race. LMP2 can be quite dirty as well. But any class of car, you have to be respectful of the people you're driving around. If there's You know, if you're in a GT3 car and you're not fighting anyone, and a hypercar is, you know, flying up behind you, you have to be mindful of that. Even though you're entitled to take the racing line, you still have to. These are still things you have to think about, because, you know, some of these drivers, I've probably made this mistake in the past as well, but some of these drivers are not scared of just diving up the inside and, you know, absolutely sending you to the shadow realm. It's not something that a lot of these drivers are scared of. So you do need to have a think about that when you're driving any class of car in this game. You just need to think, you know, is this guy going to see me? Should I just wait one more corner? Because, you know, if I was making a move here, it's gonna you know, mess up my corner exit coming around this last corner. Whereas if I just waited, you know, I'd probably lose half a tenth, but, you know, I'm not going to then, you know, I'm still going to get, you know, a decent exit compared to just sending out the inside. You know, not only could that possibly cause a crash, you know, cause damage to the car, cause you to spin, that will ruin your tyres, you know, it might send you into a wall, that's just going to ruin your race. So there's so many things you need to think about when navigating traffic, but the main thing is, you know, I'd say is just how can we both survive this? And that's kind of what I try and think of whilst I navigate traffic. You know, obviously I've had my own fair share of crashes, as everyone has, but I think that's a good way to kind of navigate it. We've got 15 minutes left of this race now, 10 laps. We've got 15.7 laps of fuel. So at this point I'm actually thinking, have I actually overdone it on the fuel saving, and can I afford to push a bit more? But one of the issues that arises from that is that I've just been kind of fuel saving and driving under the limit, even though under the limit is actually been quite quick in this race, because I feel like if you're driving on the limit, then you're prone to making more mistakes. But, you know, if I start pushing now and using a bit more fuel, am I going to be able to gain time, or am I just going to end up having a spin? So it's something I'm thinking about, and something I'm debating whether I can start pushing a little bit more and start braking a bit later. But it might result in something like that. You know, I've just gone wide a little bit there, but look, I've just lost a couple of tenths due to track limits, because I tried to push a bit more. So I think in my heart of hearts I'm thinking, you know, I'll just carry on fuel saving, because, you know, I've still got 7 seconds on P2. Maserati now has made the move on the Ferrari, so it is Genesis in P1 and P2 and P4 coincidentally as well. So that Ferrari is doing really well in P3, because we can see that obviously the Genesis and the Peugeot are really strong around here. So that Ferrari is doing a good job, but it's just a bit of a slower car around here. So we do go wide in this corner, kind of mess that exit up, but no worries. We just ease off the throttle, let the car come round on us, and get on with it, because I don't want to, you know, massacre the tyre. We don't want to be full lock in one way, because that's just going to burn through the tyre. You know, it's going to put the temperature up, just going to ruin the race. So again, all I'm thinking of now is how can I not ruin my race? I just don't want to ruin my race. I'm not having to race anyone now, so this is where the mind can kind of wander. No, I'm sure this is something that drivers like, I don't know, Max Verstappen have to deal with. How do I just not mess it up now? I'm sure, yeah, probably Lando Norris more than Max, but anyway, I'm thinking, how can I just have a clean race here? All I have to do is keep it on the track for 10 minutes. It's like a 10-minute hot lap session, and all I have to do is not crash. But there's times like this where I'm actually thinking, like, can the GT3s come around again, please? Because then it kind of like stimulates the mind a bit, and it gives you something to think about. Because right now, all I'm thinking is like, can this race end? Can this race end? I just want to finish in P1. I just want to win and not have to, you know, stress about this anymore. Because, you know, the heart rate's up. I've just been focused for 50 minutes. My back is a bit achy because I've just been in the seat and like focused up for the last 50 minutes. All of this sort of stuff. But we come around that BMW who's been a back marker the whole race, and that kind of indicates that we might be coming up on the GT3s for possibly the last time now. We've got 7 laps left. We're 3 tenths down, but we do gain a bit of time on that corner exit there. We've got P15, the back marker. I'm just kind of looking at his bumper thinking, is he going to let me pass when I come up to him? Because I'm gaining a lot of time on him. His P6 has gone off down there, one of the Peugeots, right at the beginning of Sector 1. So you can kind of see the difference in timing. You know, P6, now P7, he's 30 seconds behind me. So I do have the pace around here. As this Peugeot, look, I've gained so much time on him in his corners. Is he going to let me pass? He's taking the racing line here. So yes, he does. Thank you very much. So as I go purple, but this is where I make an error. Look at that. I completely miss my braking marker because I'm staring at that Peugeot, hoping and praying that he lets me past. And I've just lost 6 seconds. And now Masarek's 1.5 seconds behind me. So this is something now I got to think about. I've just been thinking, how can I not shoot myself in the foot? And I've just shot myself in the foot twice. Because we've got Masarek less than 2 seconds behind me now. So the lead has just been half by, 5 times over. Got Masarek 1 second behind me now. He's in the slipstream and I'm thinking, oh shit. I've really messed this up. I've made a massive error here. I'm just going to have to drive really quick now. Which is a shame. Because I wanted to just take it easy. I've gunked my tyres up. I've given myself a flat spot. I've given myself all this stress that I didn't need. And now Masarek's 1.2 seconds behind. And he's shown before that he's got the pace on me. As he started off this race, in P3 or whatever. But we go purple in sector 1. So we're actually putting the foot down a little bit here because I'm scared. I don't want Masarek to be in my slipstream. I don't want him to be behind me. I don't want him to bother me in this race. I just want to go off into the distance and win. But Masarek gets caught up behind the GT3 there. So that's, a couple tenths that we just gained now on him. That saves us for another day. We don't have to think about him for another set of corners because he's not going to dive on us. But look, he's like the Terminator behind us. He's going to come behind us and take us, which sounds quite dodgy. We're on the back straight here. I actually sat up there on the top left on that verge when I went to go and watch the F1 in general admission. It was really good fun. The first time I saw the F1 car go around, it was just absolutely insane. I had proper goosebumps and everything. It was just so surreal. And then we saw Max Verstappen win by about 30 seconds, which is what I was hoping to do in this race. Not the most enjoyable. And then I ran around this whole bit on the left there, ran around there, and then there was a bit behind that wall on the orange on the left there that I went to go and see the podium on the right. And that was really good fun. But we crossed the lap there, 32.6, and Masarek's done 32 flat, so he's 6 tenths up on us that lap. Got 5 laps left. I'm thinking, oh no, 0.4 seconds behind. He's going to win this. And we're going to have done all of this for absolutely nothing. I mean, we're going to get P2, which is a good result, but I want the win, more than anything. This is, I'm basically on for my best ever result here in the Le Mans Ultimate. And it's about to be taken away by Masarek. Well, not even by Masarek, by my own hand, because I made the mistake. But we go purple sector 1 again, so we're definitely fast in that first sector. Faster than anyone else in the racetrack, which is really good news. Faster than Masarek. Masarek takes kind of a later corner entry and a later apex, but it doesn't really work out for him. He's half a second behind me now, but we're going to be coming around the LMP3s again now as we nearly go into the back of the Mercedes there. Completely misjudged that. This is what I mean. We're kind of losing our head now. Now Masarek's side by side, but he backs out because the BMW would probably have blocked him on corner exit, even though it ended up blocking me. And if he just went through that, he might have actually got the move down. But he's going to be sniffing up the inside now, but he doesn't make that move because we brake late, and thankfully we don't lock up the tyres. We're 1.5 seconds down, so we lost a lot of time in traffic to those LMGT3s. But this last set of corners now, we just want to make sure we're maximising the exit. We can get past this McLaren easy, which we do. We do kind of mess up his corner a little bit, but this is the thing. We do need to be thinking about our own race somewhat, and that's just something he's going to have to deal with. That should be fine, but that was a 1:33.8 and a Masarek did a 1:33.87, so that was a bit faster this lap, which is what we like to see. As long as we can keep that 7/100ths of a second gap, it means we're going to start finishing the lead rather. As we cut across there on exit, I don't know if we kind of blocked Masarek there, I'm not too sure, but we did have GT3 in front of him, so I feel like Masarek may have seen that coming, which is why he got on the brakes. But he did have a very bad corner there on the right hand, and maybe he got the power down a bit too much and he had a snap to the left. Thankfully he saved it though for his race, but he is 1.3 seconds behind now. As we go up the inside of the BMW, we want to make sure that we're maximising our corner speed, so we do kind of go wide, which pushes the BMW wide, but we got our front left side of the car up on the curb there, which spits us back out, but it's okay, it's all good. This corner complex now, again going up the inside of the BMW, we can still get a very good corner exit here because we get that apex, put our front 2 right tyres on the apex, which allows for a bit more rotation, and then we're going to lift and coast here. This is that Peugeot again, so now I'm thinking, oh my god, I've got Masarek 1.4 seconds behind me and that Peugeot ahead that completely made me lose my head. I'm not going to blame it on him because it's not his fault, it's my fault, but this is that Peugeot that made me go off in that 7 seconds, and now You know, we've got Mazurek P2 behind me, so I'm thinking, oh my god, this is it now. We get a bad exit off this corner because we don't hit the apex, so we don't get as much exit speed as we can, but Mazurek's 1 second behind me. I did 33.5 and he does 33.9, so we gained 4 tenths on him that lap, which is quite a good bit of time there. Got to make sure we nail our braking going into this corner. We hit the apex there, hit the apex on the left there, so that's a really good set of corners we do there. We're actually up on our PB, so hopefully we'll set another purple sector going into sector 1. But I think my strong suit here is this long right hander. We're actually really good at navigating it. As I'm giving him a flash, I'm just thinking, please move, and he does. He goes out wide. I don't know if he actually meant to do that or not, I can't lie, but he does move out the way, and we're going to make sure that we get tucked in nicely here for the exit here. As Mazurek, he's frustrated behind that Peugeot there because he got a very poor exit there, and he's now second behind us again, but he's stuck behind that Peugeot. And on corner exit, I'm just checking my mirror thinking, no, please just make an error or something. But he's a second behind, he's stuck behind this Peugeot. He's very slow on corner exit, but I think the Peugeot lets him past this, so he's 1.1 second behind now, and he is past the Peugeot, so he's 0.9 now, 0.8. so on corner exit we're up to 1.1, so we actually haven't lost any time, but he's obviously braking a bit later than I am to bring that delta down and make that Constantino effect happen. It's 0.9 now, and we get a yellow flag up ahead, and I'm thinking, oh shit, what's going on? But it's just that hypercar parked on the right. I think it must have run out of fuel or something, because we've got P6 up ahead, 1% of fuel. This is what I mean by the fuel saving. I'm on 14% of fuel, I'm still in green fuel. Mazurek's just gone orange on fuel, but that Peugeot in P6 is 1% fuel, so I've got 8 laps of fuel, so I'm laughing. I can go flat out here, but one of the issues with that, as I was discussing earlier, is that if I go flat out, then it's a completely different style of driving than I've done the whole hour, and that might throw me off, with my entries and exits and things like that. So I just want to make sure that I'm consistent. That consistency might be a couple of tenths down, but in the end it doesn't matter if I can maintain the lead. But Mazurek is 0.7 behind now. Coming into the second sector, making sure I'm hitting those braking points, getting turned in nice and early. Mazurek, he apexes a bit later than me on that corner, so I think he is a bit better at navigating the sector 2, and then this complex corner here I really don't like. I actually saw Pierre Gasly have a little off there in one of the practice sessions in 2023, but we're going to make sure that we our apex here, get a good exit, which we do. We're making time on our PB. We're 1.7 tenths down now, lifting and coasting, braking, full brake pressure to finish off sector 2, entering sector 3. Mazurek's 0.7 seconds behind now. He's on 6% fuel, so he's half my fuel, so he's got about 2 laps left, so he's really fuel saved to the degree that he needs to. I've probably fuel saved a bit too much, so if we cross the lap and there's 40 laps, he might have to fuel save a bit much on that last lap, but we'll think about that when it comes to it. But he's now 0.2 seconds behind me now, so we're in the same car, probably the same setup as well. He's gone half a second a lap faster than me, so he's going to be benefited from that slipstream. As a BMW comes out on the left, he's going to really go well on the brakes, but he's going to go wide because there's no actual move there. He just braked a bit later, so he goes wide and he loses almost a second on me because his front wheels are past my rear axles there, so he's lost a lot of time. As I said, I think sector 1 was my strong suit in this lap. I kept going purple, and a lot of drivers I think were struggling with it, but whereas I struggled with sector 2. There's 0.8 seconds behind me now. I've got 1 minute 42 seconds left, so that means that we'll finish this lap, go on to the next one, and then finish that one. So there will be 39 full racing laps. It won't go to lap 40. I'll probably clock that at this point, but he's 0.4 seconds behind me now. And then on corner exit, oh my god, look at the rearview mirror, he's just gone off. And I'm thinking, oh my god, my heart rate's probably like 150 right now, and Mazurek's just gone off, and he's 10 seconds behind me now. And now I'm thinking I got a minute left. I got P2, Actas 7.3 seconds behind with 2% of fuel. He's probably going to run out of fuel. So sadly in P3, 9.7. So I think Actas is going to run out of fuel, and then it's going to be a Genesis 1, 2, 3 around this Barcelona racetrack. So we've done really well here. We started P21 and we're going to finish P1. That's probably my best result ever in the Mon Ultimate, but we're not actually finished yet. We've got one more lap of fuel, one more lap of racing. We've got 6 laps of fuel, I should have said, rather than 3.8 on the virtual energy. So we could go up until lap 42, And we got Actas in the pits. Sadly, 3% of fuel, and we're on 9%. We're still on green fuel compared to everyone else. So that just shows how much we've been fuel saving and how much of a positive effect we've had by not pushing the car flat out. Because one, we're winning this race. On paper, we're winning this race right now. And we've also still on green fuel, whilst going up on gaining time. I'm still gaining time on, sadly, on Mazarek, on Actas. I mean, Mazarek's probably got damage now. Actas has got a drive through because he went too quick, which is a real shame because he would have had a really good result. But it's going to be a Genesis 1, 2, 3. We got the LMP3, and oh my god, what is he? That was so close. That was honestly so close. At that point I had like a mini heart attack because I was thinking, oh my god, and LMGT3 is about to ruin my race in the last lap. But on paper, looking back, I mean, sadly 7.5, but he's on 1% fuel. He might have still actually won this race even if he knocked into us, depending on how much damage he caused us. But that was a real close one, and that would have really pissed me off if we lost there. But we're coming around the last corner for the last time in Sector 3 on lap 39. 3.1 laps of fuel. We're going to make a move on this Porsche LMGT3. Yes, we are. And he actually peels off into the pit, so very nice of him to not smash into us. But we're going to come around here and we're going to finish in P1. Look at that. Started in P21 and we end in P1. So that was actually split 2, not split 1. But thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video and subscribe.